Welcome back to the SKN Football Files, the highlight show breaking down the Premier League of the beautiful Caribbean island of St Kitts and Nevis. Before we get started, apologies for the lack of episode over the last couple of match weeks. I've been really unwell and we've not been able to record, but we are back now.
Yeah, today we look at the highlights for the St Kitts and Nevis Premier League match week 8. The opening game of the week shows second place Rams, who are looking to put the pressure on Keon as they take on St Peters, who themselves are chasing a top 4 spot. The second game of the week shows a Sandy Point side who are really looking to build on their 7 points so far this season against an Old Road Jet side who have really blown hot and cold over their game so far. We have Mantab who are chasing for their first win still of the season as they take on the only unbeaten side left in the league, which is Keon, who hope results go their way and move further clear of the chasing pack. Bath are up on Sunday night as they are chasing their first win in the since the second match of the season as they take on the basement team of Security, who have not only failed to win a point but also failed to score a single goal in the opposition net. And we finished the week off with Connery taking on St Paul's, with both knowing a win could potentially take them second in the league depending on other results.
Yeah, the first match of the of the week. In all honesty, we don't really have any highlights for. Rams versus St Peters and actually Sandy Point versus Old Road Jets. Yeah. Both finished in a stale 0-0, and in all honesty, they weren't the prettiest of games. But worth being said that the top goal scorers in the league have now failed to score in the last 2 games.
They were that boring. I think we
both fell asleep.
Yeah, we literally both fell asleep.
Do you think teams have finally sussed out Rams? They are setting up in a specific way for Rams and knowing how to play them, thus meaning Rams aren't scoring.
Yeah, I think definitely, because when you look at the first, say, 4 weeks, it was up until the point where Keon played Rams, because I think we
I think
we beat them 1-0.
Oh yeah.
I think we just about beat them. And I think since then, because they were scoring and they weren't conceding. Yeah. And then until they obviously played Keon, they then conceded their first goal, got their first loss. And since then, they haven't really been the same. They haven't really been scoring as many goals, because they were getting quite high. They had in the double-digit goal difference by match week 3 or 4.
Yeah, although I do think they probably played Mantab.
I think they did play Mantab Security and all that and stuff. But yeah, they were scoring a lot of goals. They were winning very comfortably, just making it look like a training session. But yeah. Within the last few weeks, they have not looked the same side that started off.
Not at all. But it is interesting because they were so goal happy in the opening 6 games, but it's since been stopped. And the second game of the night, Sandy Point versus Old Road Jets, both sort of known as teams that can score but don't score much. Yeah. They both seems like sides that don't really do much, and neither team is the prettiest football.
No, but yeah, both. But on to the third game of the match week as the mighty Keon take on the worst defence in the league in Mantab. The game came to life in the 15th minute after a lot of Keon pressure. Keon were awarded a free kick just outside the 18-yard box. The Keon player stepped up with 4 Mantab players in the wall. The free kick came in high and dipped perfectly into the near top corner, sending Keon to a 1-0 lead.
Here is Johannes Mitchell. Very good free kick. Over the top of the wall, curling into the corner.
In the 32nd minute, Keon had another promising attack on the left-hand side as a throw-in came in to Mervyn Lewis, with a Mantab player close behind him who managed to knock the ball back to the throw-in taker, French, who tried to cross it in but was cut out by the Mantab player briefly, but Mervyn Lewis managed to win the ball back inside the 18-yard box to the left-hand side. He darted across the box, managed to get a shot away to the keeper's near post, and it clipped the crossbar and goes in to send Keon 2-0 up.
Mervyn Lewis goes back to French. Not a good cross. Lewis still with it. Can he get a shot off? He does so, and that one thumped into the back of the net by Mervyn Lewis.
In all honesty, it was a goalkeeping mistake with the positioning. Completely wrong. Yes, the ball did clip the crossbar and go in, but you shouldn't be beating at your near post. If he was maybe a half a yard further to his near post, he would have just been able to get his hand up and just palm it over for a corner.
Yeah. Mantab are really struggling, them losing the ball in the 18-yard box through sheer playing around with it. As a defender in that situation, you really need to let it come to you and smash it away, especially with a K-On player right there. And K-On are top for a reason, so that was another either disrespect for the league leaders or just plain and simple bad decision making. The goalkeeper did not help his team out either, with being in a completely incorrect position, leading to that goal where he was beaten at his near post. Mantab did somehow nearly get a goal back before half-time whistle, went in the 45th plus 1 minute as a ball wrong-footed the goalkeeper and bouncing off the bottom of the post, but K-On did go into the break, being 2 goals to the good.
Yeah, the second half was really the same pressure from K-On, with Mantab reduced to a few chances. In the 67th minute, though, Mantab did go very close again, as a ball from the right-hand side was crossed into the box with a K-On player, with the K-On defender completely missing the ball, sending the Mantab forward through on goal. The K-On keeper did come out, make himself big, and the Mantab forward couldn't find a way past him, and the ball was saved.
Yeah, defence turned into attack immediately after, as the ball was pumped upfield and across to the right-hand side. Lewis and Prentice linked up perfectly with a 1-2 running down into the Mantab box, and actually the Mantab player got to it first, but Lewis was able to dispossess the Mantab defender again in the box, and Lewis simply slotted it home under the goalkeeper, giving them a 3-goal advantage and a 2 great Mantab chances where they could have levelled the game. They found themselves 3 goals down.
To Barnes, to Lewis, to Prentice. Prentice, can he find Lewis? A bit of a heavy pass. Lewis gets it back. No, can he put it away? Yes, he does.
In the dying moments of the game, in the 84th minute, K-On did find themselves attacking the Mantab goal again, and after a cross in, the ball fell to Barnes, who managed to place the ball into the far corner of the net, wrapping up a comprehensive 4-0 win for K-On, extending their lead at the top of the table.
Again, Mantab giving it away. Can this fall for Lewis? Has Dujan to beat, goes wide, clips it into the area, and this time, Ivanzoy Barnes.
A game of missed chances for Mantab and a game of clinical finishing from K-On, would you say, James?
Yeah, I think when you're up against a team of K-On who just can score fair few goals, not loads, but they can just be clinical with their chances, against a team as well that just struggle, I think, defensively and attackingly. But I think the game was there for the taking for K-On. They took their chances, and that's what wins you games.
Yeah, and now 8 games in, Mantab find themselves stranded in those relegation places, and we say every week, but are they quickly becoming a lost cause in the league, and they're just to make up the numbers?
Yeah, 100%. I don't see how they're going to pick up any points from this point on, because I just think the mentality from them now is probably just completely gone out the window. I can't really see how they're going to win a game unless they somehow can scrap a win against like a team like Security. But I just can't really see them picking up any points, not even draws, to be honest, because they just concede too many goals.
Yeah. And, well, with that game done and dusted, we look to the next game of the week as Security Forces, who sit stranded at the bottom of the table with 0 points, 0 goals scored in the right end, took on a Bath United side who themselves had a really rough patch of form recently, with 0 wins in the last 5, with four losses and a draw, but were pretty hard games.
Yeah. Surely if Security were to manage to score a goal, it would come against a side who are struggling for form over the past few games. But in the 14th minute, it was Bath United who drew first blood as a peach of a ball found its way to Lavia, who was able to take it around the keeper and tap the ball home into an empty net, sending Bath 1-0 up.
His account here, getting around Tudor and just simply slots it home. Lavia opens his account.
The game really settled down after that with basically a training session of Bath attack and Security defend. But in the 41st minute, just leading up into the half-time break, Bath found that killer blow after a good strike from the right-hand side, found the keeper scrambling for the ball. The Security Forces keeper managed to get a firm hand on the ball, but couldn't keep it out of the net. And that doubled Bath's lead heading into the break.
The net, a left-footed shot. Tudor was hustling back. 41st minute of play.
Now, a goalkeeping mistake, James, having a whole hand to the ball and still palming it into his own net, or am I being too critical?
I think it's a bit of both, really. I think it's probably just he's just lost control of it. But as a keeper, you've got to be, if you're getting a hand to the ball and you've almost got a firm grip on it, you need to be keeping it close to you and not letting it slip away. Because things like that that's what's going to just change the whole context of the game.
Yeah,
when you give away a silly goal like that, you've then given yourself a big amount into crime.
You have a whole hand to the ball, and then it basically sums up the game, and you go 2-0 down.
It's basically just gifting them a goal.
Yeah.
It's just going to give you a big amount to climb. But yeah, the second half really did not start the way Bath usually start the second half. As we have seen countless times, Bath come out in the second half really putting the pressure on. But it was not to be this time, as security goalkeeper really was only there to save half shots or collect the ball when it went wide, but then again had so much to do compared to the Bath United goalkeeper. He did actually have to wait until the 76th minute for more goal action, this time in the form of a penalty after the referee deemed the security player handled the ball in the box. The referee pointed to the spot I was going to say to put any lingering results to bed, but it's security, so he stepped up to the spot to increase the lead for Bath, to which he did, sending a softball rolling into the back of the net and sending the goalkeeper the wrong way.
Opportunity for a penalty. Whistle goes. Lavia runs up and just slots it to the right of Tudor. It's goal number 3 here in the Nevis Athletic Stadium. But
that was job done, in all honesty, for Bath United, as they were just able to see the rest of the game out with no damage inflicted.
Yeah, security now, they are having a really tough season, much like Mantab, but worse. Yeah. After this game, they still have 0 points. They have 3 own goals. They have 0 goals scored. They sit on a minus 27 goal difference. And after that game this weekend, with only Mantab on a minus 29 goal difference. And on 1 point, James, what does security need to do to start picking up points?
Well, they need to either win games or draw games, but I think they just, every week, they seem to struggle to do that. So it's a similar situation to like the Mantab, but they've just got to turn it around quickly, because otherwise if they don't, it's just going to get more worrying, more pressure put on them. And I think the more pressure and worry that they have, the less mentally they're going to be to try and win games and be able to win games, because the confidence will just completely drop. So if they want to change something, they've got to do it now.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, security do look lost at sea. They haven't scored and actually look scared when they get into a position to score, with maybe half a handful of shots on target in games and some really questionable decisions from the players.
Yeah, it is really worrying for security, as I think James would agree with me on this. Honestly, can't see where they will get a goal this season, let alone some points. But what is evident is that the first time they score, if they manage to score this season, will probably affect the mind of the players that the goal was scored against, as you can't be in the 8th week of the football season without a goal. And if you don't score goals, you don't win, which is the reality of football.
Yeah. But yeah, security completely lost out there and looking like a Division 1 side rather than a Premier League side. But with that, we bring you the last game of the season, as Connery, who with a win will keep the gap at 4 points behind Keon in the top spot. And a loss for them does really start to put some pressure on themselves, with the chasing pack behind them.
Yeah, and there is just one bit of magic from that game, as Kalanji Clark, again at the root of the play, not giving up on what most players would call a lost cause, but after a good bit of play, set up his teammate to score and open the scoring for St Paul's, which was in fact the only goal of the game, sending St Paul's into a 3-game winning streak. Now, James, this week we have saw a record low amount of goals scored across the games, with there only being 8.
Normally there's 8 goals just from
a Mantab game.
Well, if you're playing Mantab, it's either there's going to be 8 goals now, or from Rams and Keon put together, there's going to be more than 8 goals. But
although 7 of them did come against Mantab and security in the league, excluding the bottom 2. 1 goal was scored. Do you think we'll be seeing more shocks of the season, like Sandy Point's result earlier in the season against the defending champions?
I think, apart from teams like Security and Mantab, I think anyone could probably pick up a result against anyone, really. It's just a matter of, you've just got to perform on the day, you've got to take your chances, because that's what wins you games. But literally anything can happen. But with a side like Keon, who are just in really good form, I think it's going to be hard to break them down. But I think anyone could take anything from anyone at this point, apart from obviously the
bottom
teams.
two.
Yeah.
It will be really interesting to see what Week 9 has to offer. But firstly, we can look at the completed league table for the St Kitts and Nevis Premier Division after Week 8. Now, there is no change at the top of the table, as K-On's win this weekend means that they go into match Week 9 on 22 points, with only that blemish to their record with that 2-2 draw against St Paul's. Rams, Village Superstars, are in second place after their 0-0 draw against St Peter's this past weekend on 17, meaning that there is now a 5-point gap between second and top spot. St Paul's leapfrog Connery and sit in third after their 1-0 win on Saturday night, while Connery now drop down to 4th on 15 points with just one win in their last 4 games, just 2 points clear of 5th place. The 5th place, however, does belong to St Peter's, who have really had a mixed bag of results so far this season, sitting on 13 points with 4 wins, and a draw. Old Road Jets remain in 6th after their bore draw this past weekend, and they can boast one of the best defences in the league. They have just conceded one more goal than K-On, but can't seem to ground out the results. Bath United, after a really tough run of fixtures, occupy next. They found themselves to victory in Nevis this past Sunday as they ran out easy 3-0 winners against struggling Security. This is in fact Bath's first win since match week 2. Sandy Point continue to steer clear of those relegation places after their 0-0 draw, sitting in 8th place on 8 points. Mantab still stranded in those relegation places on just 1 point after they picked up, that 1 point they picked up against Sandy Point earlier in the season with a dreadful minus 29 goal difference. And lastly, bottom of the pack and really looking out of their depth are Security Forces. After 8 games played, they still remain on 0 points. They still remain on 0 goals scored in the right end of the pitch, and luckily did not have to add to their own goal tally this season, which currently sits at 3, meaning that Security Forces have conceded as many own goals as K-On have conceded so far the whole season.
I think the reason why Bath have finally picked up a bit of form by winning is because they were playing at a different stadium this time. They were actually in...
They were
at their own place this time.
To be fair.
They were actually at home this time.
They were actually at home. And you know what? Bath in Nevis are very good. Although it does seem like a very small pitch.
Yeah. Now we can look into match week 9, and the action kicks off Friday night at 8 p.m. local time, meaning a 1 a.m. kickoff here in the UK. And it's going to be between Aldra Jets to take on St Paul's, so that's probably not going to be the most interesting.
It's all right.
So we'll probably take an early night that night. Saturday sees probably the most difficult watch of the season, as Mantab face off with their relegation counterpart Security Forces. So if this is a game to fall asleep to, I think this is the choosing.
Who knows? It might be 5-5.
I don't think anyone's going to be scoring in that one. And surely, if Security have any chance of picking up some points, it has to be against Mantab. And if they don't, then just relegate them.
Just relegate them now.
But this one kicks off Saturday evening at 6 p.m. local time, meaning an 11 p.m. kickoff here in the UK. Following that match at 8 p.m, 1 a.m. UK time, sees an actually interesting looking game. K-On putting out their unbeaten season on the line against a Connery side who are starting to struggle a little bit for form. So this could be
a good game.
So hopefully we don't fall asleep with the match before, because we want to stay up to watch this one. But after previous weeks, that has not been the case. And on Sunday, the 2 remaining games are St Peter's versus Sandy Point. St Peter's wanting to push themselves into that top 4 place, and Sandy Point who will be wanting to pick up some points to steer them away from those bottom 2 places. But with the 2 teams that are in them bottom 2 places, I don't think they have to worry too much.
No.
And this is a 5 p.m. kickoff at St Kitts and Nevis, meaning a 10 p.m. kickoff in the UK. So quite an early kickoff for us.
Yes.
Finally. And the final game, which kicks off at 7 p.m. midnight in the UK, sees Bath, who will want to start building on their win this past week, taking on Rams Village Superstars, who will want to rectify their ball 0-0 draw. So that, again, could be quite an interesting game.
Yeah.
But remember that the times in both St Kitts and Nevis and in England times are on the bottom of the screen, and you can watch all the games live and for free on the FIFA Plus app.
Yeah, so thank you for joining us this week for the SKN-FootballFiles, as we look forward to seeing you next week for the breakdown on all the action from this fascinating, fantastic league. See you later.